Check the description for the following discount codes. So aside from getting lots of questions about what cockpits people should buy for their new Christmas gifted, racing wheels and pedals and what have you, the second most popular sort of questions I'm being asked are about the Quest 2, because it looks like a lot of people got these for Christmas as well. In fact, looking at some statistics, I think they even outsold the current Xbox series of consoles this Christmas. So super, super popular. Now, as a new Quest owner, there is so much, I'm going to use the word crap, that you can buy that is supposed to make your Quest experience better. Everything from link cables to facial interfaces to head straps to controller grips and add-ons and everything in between. And honestly, it's a minefield of poorly made Chinese junk for the most part. But there are a few things that can actually enhance your Quest playing experience. And first, we'll go in order of popularity, or what I think is important really. The first one is going to be an aftermarket strap. Now what we've got on this one here is the standard strap that comes with your Quest, and this has a VR cover sort of padded extension that just sort of grips around it just to make it a bit softer really. My Mrs. Katie used to say that the back of this strap, where the adjusters are, you can't see them because they're behind these padded bits, used to dig in the back of her head. So we got this, which just adds a bit of padding. It doesn't do anything else aside from add padding, but it does stop it digging in the back of her head. So, that's a very basic option. But then you've got things like the, ignore the speakers on here, these are a modification I've done. This is the official Elite strap from Oculus, Facebook, Meta, whatever you want to call them, with the adjustable strap at the back and this bit here that cups the back of your head. Now for me, this is my favourite strap still, because I like the way you just put it on, wind it in, wind it out, super quick and super easy. And also, because it's hard plastic at the side here, I was able to grab a pair of these Marshall Major 3 headphones and just drill through and put a nut and bolt and fit these so they can articulate and give me decent audio, because it's, it just plugs in the headphone socket there. The standard audio on the Quest isn't very good. I mean, it's to be expected, because they're using what is effectively a pair of like mobile phone speakers just inside the front of the arms here. So it's entirely expected, and for the price point it's fine. But I really appreciate decent audio, so I went to the trouble of modifying these Marshall Major 3s and fitting them on, and they look pretty tidy as well. So yeah, a strap is probably number one on everyone's list. There's nothing wrong with the original strap, but you can certainly improve weight distribution by having something like this that cups the back of your head and takes a little bit of that weight off the front. Now, a lot of these accessories are going to be very much face shape dependent. So what works for me may not work for you, which is why I'm not going to recommend a specific one, because until you get something and try it, you're just not going to know. For me, this fits my head really well and I really like it. My Mrs. Katie, again, she doesn't actually like this strap, just doesn't fit her head shape well. So yeah, strap is definitely the first accessory that I would recommend people look at if they find it a bit front heavy, a bit, maybe it rests on your nose a bit, or just a bit too much pressure. Look at a strap that cups the back of your head, whether it's the official Oculus one or whether it's an aftermarket one. In fact, I've got another aftermarket one. Oh, I almost forgot about here. This winds up in and out, and this also has the ability to put a battery pack in here and keep your Quest plugged in for longer play times as well. This particular one just squeezes open and you put your battery in and it holds it tight. Obviously it would actually go up that way, so it's something for the battery to rest on there. These just clip on and off the Quest like all the other straps do. So that's actually a good option for people that want to play their Quest for a long time, and it also balances the weight distribution out a little bit as well. So this is just one of those cheap ones off of Amazon. I can't even remember what brand it was. They're all much the same, apart from, of course, the official Oculus one, which should be better quality. There was an issue with those cracking right at the very beginning of release, but that's been sorted now. But otherwise, yeah, it's just a cheap Amazon one. It seems to work okay and useful if you want to counterbalance that weight. So the next thing after the strap, because that sort of like your weight distribution and the way it sort of clasps your head, is probably your facial interface, the bit that actually presses against your face. Now the standard ones that come on the Quest are just these sort of slightly rough foam, but that's actually what I still use. This is my Quest, and I still use the original facial interface. I find it fits me the best out of the ones I've tried, which are everything from AMVR branded ones to the VR cover ones as well, and again some cheap Amazon ones that have just been sent over that I haven't even bothered reviewing because YouTube's completely saturated with people doing cheap Quest accessory reviews and nobody cares anymore. So although here I am, I'm not doing reviews, I'm just letting new people know what there is and what they might want to look at, because that sounded very contradictory. But yeah, for me the actual original Quest one fits my face the best, and again this is what it's down to. What fits my face won't fit yours necessarily. So there is a whole different selection of these. They'll all come with different little nose shrouds, you know, depending on what fits your nose the best. They'll all come with different thicknesses of foam that just peel on and off. And you know, the idea is you find one that fits you nicely, stops light leakage at the side and light leakage around the nose. Now, one tip I will give you here is this one here is bright orange. Don't buy a coloured one, because if you play in a really well lit room, you will get this colour kind of glowing through around the edges of your face, whether it's orange, whether it's blue, whether it's red, whatever it might be. Get a black one, because otherwise, whatever game you're playing, like with this one for example, whatever you play with this, there is an orange hue or glow like that affects the virtual reality world that you're playing in, and that's just not good. It's very distracting. So don't get a coloured one, at least not in my experience. Maybe if the plastic was thicker, it wouldn't happen so much, but it's, you know, it's very simple. You don't have to buy a coloured one. Probably best not to, just to not, you know, not worth the risk. And again, that, you know, that one that's an AMVR one, and it comes with again different thickness foam padding, so you can literally mix and match, because they're all Velcro. You can actually mix and match different brands and different pieces to find something that's comfortable. But that does mean buying a whole load of facial interfaces. Now, Oculus do their own facial interface pack called the Fit Pack. Again, I can't recommend any of these because it's going to be whichever one fits you the best. They do a narrow and a wide version. It's literally got a little N on the top there to show it's the narrow one, and then the other one in the pack will have a W for wide. So, I mean, at least with these, actually, you do have a point of reference, because if your original Quest one, you're like, oh, it's a bit wide, I've got lots of space at the side, then you could probably get the narrow one, although you have to buy them as a pack, or at least last time I checked you did. And you might actually be in with some luck, knowing that buying a narrower one is going to fit and is going to help. And the same applies to the wide variant. If you find this original one is a bit snug on your temples and the side of your face there, and you're like, I could do the slightly wider one, again, the Oculus Fit Pack, it's silly because they, I mean, I haven't checked recently, but they are sold as a pair, which is really odd because you can't have both a wide face and a narrow face. You know which way you want to go, but I don't know, maybe they sell them individually now. Again, I haven't checked. But I don't use either of those because standard one fits me. But what I do use that was in here is these little nose shrouds that fit on the lenses. I don't know how well they'll show up in the camera. I'll just pull one off, in fact, to show you. They just clip on the lenses, literally just push on, and they've just got this little sort of integrated shroud that comes down around the nose here to act a bit like one of these aftermarket nose shrouds, but better in my opinion. So I do run those out of my Oculus Fit Pack. In fact, one of my viewers very kindly sent me this Fit Pack. Had I have thought ahead of time, I would have looked up his email and looked up his name to say thank you to him once again. I have already said thanks in the first video, but it's always nice to say thank you again, especially as I genuinely use those. They fit my nose just nicely and get rid of that little bit of light leakage that I had before. So yes, that's facial interfaces. They will be face shape dependent. Oculus options, VR cover options, AMVR options, cheap Chinese Amazon options, they're all out there. It's a gamble, take your pick. At least if you buy stuff from Amazon, even if you buy AMVR through Amazon or VR cover, I don't know if you can buy for Amazon, at least you can always return it within that 30-day window if you buy it and it doesn't fit your face properly. So that's not a bad way to do things. What else have we got? So controller grips. Now, I'm not using any additional grips on my controllers. We'll talk about this strap in a second. Your standard Quest controller will basically look like this, with just your little wrist strap on, which you should use through fear of launching this at various objects around your house. TV screens being a good one to smash, or even just smashing them against the wall if you get a bit carried away. You can get silicone cover things like this that go over your controllers. And to be honest, I think for the most part, they're probably pointless. These Quest 2 controllers, and this is going to be hand size and shape dependent, they fit my hands really well. I would say I've probably got average size hands. They're neither big like shovels nor small and dainty. They're somewhere in the middle. And these fit me just nicely. And I'm yet to have any of my friends who's either own a Quest or have used my Quest complain that the controllers are too small. And these sort of grips would of course fatten the controller up a little bit. But if you do find they're a bit small in your hand, then there's all sorts of different skins or grips, whatever you want to call them, that you can get for your controllers to fatten them up should you want to. They're also pitched as a protective cover, a bit like a mobile phone cover, but to be honest, they're in your hands the whole time you play. I don't really see how you would sort of wear them out. Mine haven't wore out in over a year of use, so you know, not really an issue as far as I'm concerned, but they are available should you want them. They also come with a couple of these little straps which work in the same way as this one here. Allows you to slide your hand in and keep your controller on your hand like this without having to grip it, should that be something you want to do. Again, these are silicone-y, they feel okay, they're all right. The ones I'm using on here are a much nicer material, but I'll talk about them in a minute. So yeah, silicone covers for your controllers are definitely a thing. Whether you want to try them or not, it's up to you. You can also get the same silicone covers by the same company that go over the front of the Quest itself. Again, this is really just a protection thing in case you sort of scuff or scrape your Quest. But again, both these Quests here are well over a year old and I haven't got a mark on them that I can see anywhere. So I don't really think it's an issue. And also, covering your Quest may cause overheating issues. When I tested this for review, it didn't, but I didn't test it for like more than an hour. So maybe it would, or maybe it was throttling because it got hot, who knows. But anyway, there's those as well. What have we done? We've done facial interfaces. That crap out of the way. So, what's next on my list? Okay, well actually, yeah, let's finish off talking about grips actually. These are AMVR. They're not grips, they're like little straps, I suppose you might call them. They're sprung at the top, so you can adjust the Velcro to your liking and have it so you just squeeze your hands in. So should you want to be able to let go completely, maybe you want to scratch your head, pick your nose, I don't know, whatever it is, point at somebody, do this, you can, and it stays on there. For the most part, I don't really see why you'd need them, but if some people like them and some people do, then you can. For me, they don't really make a lot of difference. I don't really ever need to let go of my controller, which is weirdly why I've got one on one controller and one on the other, because when I was sent these, I thought, well, let's put them on and see what I think. And I was like, okay, yeah, they're all right. And I thought, let's take one off and see whether I miss it from having had it previously. And I don't, it makes no difference. It does feel like you can drop your controller easier because it isn't attached to the back of your hand. But from a sort of functionality point of view, it doesn't make any difference to my gaming experience at all. And the way these ones fit on is they actually replace the battery cover here with their own AMVR battery cover. It actually has a little bit of grip, a little bit of texture to it as well. And that's got the fittings on it at the bottom here and at the top here to allow you to put this strap around it, which comes off very simply using a little snapper there like that. And then of course the Velcro on the other side. So they're actually quite good from AMVR if you do want a strap around the back of your hand. What else? So yeah, we briefly spoke about headphones. If you're into your audio, then I would recommend either just an over-ear set of headphones that goes right over the top of your head, or if you're a DIYer like me, these Marshall Major 3s DIY on quite nicely without too much trouble. I did a video on that, it's on my channel, you can take a quick goosey. It's not a step-by-step because I wasn't, having not done it before, I had to do it, make sure it all works, and the idea was actually going to work before I videoed it. So by the time I come to produce the video, they were already modified and done. So, but I do talk you through in a bit more detail how to do it should you want to. But you know, as far as headphones go, you've got inner ear options. You can't use Bluetooth wireless ones because there's too much Bluetooth lag, be out of sync with the game you're playing. But there are many options as far as headphones go. And they are just a 3.5mm on the front there. So if you want better audio, grab some headphones that are comfortable and that fit nicely over the top strap or that are inner ear, and use those because the standard audio isn't the best. Now, the final sort of modification or accessory that we'll talk about, aside from a link cable, which we'll get to in a second, is magnetic prescription lenses for people that wear glasses. If you are a glasses wearer, your glasses need to fit inside this facial interface. Otherwise, you'll go to put it on and obviously it will just hit your glasses. And that can be a pain depending how wide or narrow your face is and what size and shape your glasses are. Now, VR Wave, which there is a discounted link for in the description, sent me over these magnetic lenses, which means you can whip them out should you want to hand your Quest back to somebody that doesn't need glasses. So it's in two pieces here. You've got the lens, this is your prescription lens itself, and then this is like a backing ring that just clips into your Quest here, clips on over the lens, literally just pushes on. I've done a full review of these. And then the lens themselves just magnetically, if I have it around the correct way, pings onto there like that. It's quite a solid magnetic connection, so it's not going to fall off, and they work really well. They don't protrude enough to hit my eyes, and again, if you're a glasses wearer, your options are have a blurry experience, try and squeeze your glasses in, or go with a set of these. And I think these work really, really well. You literally haven't made your prescription and that's it, boom, they post them out and they're done. Clip them on. So that means if you're sharing a Quest with friends or family, you can literally just grab your lens and it's off, quick as that, like out of the headset. And then when you come to have a go again, you just bosh them back on and they're sorted. So they are something I do actually recommend for glasses wearers because they do work really well and they're not face shape dependent or hand size dependent. They're just prescription magnetic lenses, and if you need prescription glasses or lenses, then they come in this little pouch here, then they are a good way to go. So, oh yes, another random item from, are these AMVR? Yeah, AMVR. They do this little back piece that goes on the standard strap, and the idea is obviously it cups the back of your head. Now this does work for some people. If you've got, my brother was around here the other day, he's got quite long hair and it just kept slipping up, so the headset was just falling down. It just, because it's not grippy in the slightest, this is actually quite smooth, so it just literally kept making its way up his head, and we ended up having to take it off, which is why this is actually off. So it's another option as far as strap modifications go, but it's going to depend on the length of your hair and the shape of your head. If you've got quite a pronounced rear protrusion, then maybe it will hug under a bit better. But ultimately, your standard strap just feeds through the middle here. So this bit at the bottom is still quite floppy and doesn't really, it may or may not work for you. Same as all the other facial interfaces and strap options. It's going to be person dependent. But yeah, the last thing I'll talk about then, accessory wise, is the link cable for connecting your Quest to a PC. If you have a gaming PC, this is. If you're standalone Quests, then this won't apply. I have the official link cable, which I now never use because I connect wirelessly every time I want to play PC VR, which I'll give you a couple of tips about in a minute. But there are other options available because it's quite pricey. There's a Party Link branded cable, there's an Anchor cable, there's quite a few different ones again available on Amazon, and there's quite a few that work just fine. But this being an optical cable is very thin and very light, and being made by Oculus, Meta, Facebook, whatever you want to call them, you've got a little bit more guarantee of quality than you have buying one of the Amazon branded ones, which are also usually a bit thicker and a bit heavier as well. So it's entirely up to you what you want to try there when it comes to these cables. The others do work, but if you want something that's very thin, very light, and probably a little better quality, this is the one that I use. But then at the same time, you could say, well, it's quite thin, being optical. Will it break easier if I stand on it or what have you? And I can't answer that because I no longer use it. Because as I said, I connect wirelessly, either using virtual desktop or using AirLink. Now, if you're new to the Oculus Quest and PC VR gaming, you're going to have to do some research about what AirLink and virtual desktop are and how they work. But basically, it allows you to play your PC VR games in your Quest headset without having to plug a cable in. And to me, that was an absolute game changer. Being able to spin around 360 degrees completely wirelessly, just as if you were playing a native Quest game, is just absolutely brilliant. I can't stand having a cable anymore. And both AirLink, which is the Oculus option, and virtual desktop, which is aftermarket, both work really well. But what's key to a good experience here is a solid, clean, reliable Wi-Fi connection between your Quest and your PC. And in my experience in testing, the very best way to do this, and this is the best way, there are other options, this is the best way in my experience, is to buy a dedicated router that simply connects only to your Quest and your gaming PC, as opposed to just hooking this up to the Wi-Fi that you've got at your house already, that everyone else has got their laptops connected to, their tablets, their mobile phones. The more connections you have to your router, the greater the chance of lag, interference, the router prioritizing different devices over other devices. What you want is simply Quest to router, and then the router should be hardwired to your PC using an Ethernet cable. So don't go Wi-Fi to router to Quest. Use a local area network cable, an Ethernet cable. So you have that sort of interruption-free and as fast as it can be and lowest possible latency by using a cable. So the routers I use are TP. I've got two, one because I have obviously two Quests, one for me, one for Katie. The one I use up here is TP-Link Archer AX10, and the one that's downstairs is a TP-Link Archer AX20. The reason I got that is because they were out of stock on the AX10s when we needed to buy a second one, so I bought the AX20. Now, both of those have been working flawlessly for me for over a year now, or whenever it was we were first able to do the wireless connection using virtual desktop. I have no issue whatsoever. I don't get any dropouts, I don't get any glitches, any lag, nothing. They're perfectly smooth. I've got guides on YouTube showing you how to set this all up if you want to. Now, when I first put one of those videos out, some of my American viewers said that there was a known problem with the Archer AX10 in the US that caused problems using it in this fashion. Us guys in the UK didn't seem to have this problem. I think it was a firmware variation issue. I don't know whether that has been resolved, but if you are in the US, it's worth either perhaps considering a different router or looking to see if this issue has been resolved. The thing is about these routers is that they're cheap. They're like 50 quid and 60 quid respectively, the AX10, the AX20. which is just no money. But they're what I use, and for me, they work flawlessly, and they have done ever since I've been able to do wireless connectivity. But that is super important. Some people have managed to use their existing home router, and they've had a good connection and no problems, probably because it was a really decent router. Some people have these mesh systems at home that are super expensive and they work fine. But for a lot of us, especially in the UK, it's the only real experience I can talk about, our ISP routers that are given to us are usually not very good, and are typically quite old these days. We might have had the same one in the house for like 5 years, you know, well out of date. Might not even have Wi-Fi 6, which is really what you want to get the best experience connecting wirelessly. So for me, those two TP-Link routers work perfectly. But the key really is hardwiring your gaming PC to your router and then only having your Quest connected wirelessly to that router. So there's no chance of other devices sharing the same channels or frequencies. And that's the other thing, when you set it all up, you can choose this dedicated router to use a frequency that isn't already being used in your house or in your area, or that at least has very little other devices on it. If you're living a housing estate, there's very little chance of you finding a completely empty channel. So you just have to choose the one that is least populated. Again, I've got full videos explaining how to do this and get the best out of it. But that's my one most important tip for wireless connectivity: dedicated router hardwired to your PC with just the Quest connected to it. So last couple of tips before this video is over will be about improving the black levels and the contrast ratio of your Quest. The LCD panels in these Quests are not the best LCD panels. The blacks are quite grey, you know, they're backlit or possibly even edge lit actually, I'm not sure which it is. But the blacks are quite grey, and as a result, the colours can look a little washed out. I believe the default brightness setting is pretty much maximum on these headsets, or very close to it. So what I've found is if you go in the options in your Quest and turn that brightness slider down to about 50%, that dims the backlight effectively and gives you much darker, deeper blacks. They're never going to compare to OLED or other VR headsets like the G2, for example, but it makes a big improvement. Those light greys become much darker greys now, and as a result, the overall image looks a lot less washed out. So that's just a quick tip for improving your visual experience there. The other thing I'll say, another quick tip, is when you're not using your Quest, keep it plugged in, keep it on charge. Years gone by, leaving devices that were battery powered, old laptops, early mobile phones, plugged in when they're not in use would gradually kill the batteries over time. That is not a thing these days. You can happily leave your laptop, your mobile phone, your Quest 2 plugged in 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and it will not measurably reduce your battery life. But what it means is, whenever you want to play your Quest, and this sounds like a really silly tip, but I know so many people who go to use their Quest and it's down to 20% battery or 10% battery. I go to play online with somebody, maybe I'm playing some Zero Caliber or some Walkabout Golf or whatever it might be, or sitting in big screen, and they're like, oh Carl, I've only got 20% battery. And the charging cable that comes with the Quest is like this long. So they've either got to sit on the floor, like with their head plugged into the wall whilst trying to chat to me in big screen, or they can't play whatever game it is we want to play because their Quest is flat. When you're not using it, just plug it in. Like I say, both of my Quests are kept on charge 24 hours a day, and whenever we pick them up to use them, obviously they're always charged. The battery hasn't degraded as a result. It won't degrade as a result. You know, these are intelligently charged. They don't just keep pumping current into the battery. That way, whenever you want to play VR, whether you're just playing with yourself, whether you're playing multiplayer online, whether you're showing your friends, your Quest will always be charged. And then my final tip, talking about batteries again, is get a pair or get 4 rechargeable batteries. They're AA's, 1 in each controller, and keep the other 2, again this sounds like common sense, always charged. That way, the moment these start to get low, you swap them out, you throw your freshly charged ones in, put the 2 that just gone flat straight back in the charger, get them charged, and you can just carry on playing. And just like with the Quest, everything will always be charged and always ready to go. It sounds like a silly tip, to give, but there's nothing more annoying than wanting to play on your Quest and either having a flat controller and no other batteries in the house, so you've literally got to like either go to the shop and buy some batteries or take the 2 rechargeables out that you bought and put them on charge and wait, and the same goes for the headset. So keep it plugged in, get 4 rechargeable batteries, keep 2 always charged, and you'll always be good to go and be able to play on your Oculus Quest 2s as and whenever you want to. So that is the end of my video. Hopefully some of that random waffle and random accessories might actually be of some use to some people. As always, thank you very much for watching. Enjoy your newly acquired Quest 2s and take it easy.